So right now, we want you to consider your own declarations. Is there a first step that you're thinking about taking that you might be able to take? To take it in honor of Odette, to take it in honor of your mother and father, to take it in honor of your child, to take it in honor of yourself. We want to hear your declarations, because to make a declaration is an act of creativity, really. It doesn't require any agreement or anything like that. It just requires you to feel something and to say it. And so we're going to ask you to say it and to think about it with the person next to you. Okay, but we don't want you to speak to the person you know. We want you to speak to the person you don't know, because that's the work, isn't it? So we ask you to put your fear aside for a moment and to disarm them with your truth. Disarm them like John did, with your humor, with your compassion, your love, your story. Tell them what calls you. What kind of a future do you want to create? Have you felt your own moment of obligation? And maybe most importantly, when it comes to you, what will you do? And we want you to listen really carefully, because if you're moved to, after this, we want you to come up and to speak those declarations, to bear witness to them. What's that step you're willing to take right now? But not you, but the person that you heard from. So please, we'd like to hear from some of you now. What did you hear that really tasted like truth? What did that person next to you, that stranger, say that really tasted like truth?
Hi, my name is Elçin Lohner. I volunteer for this organization called Pachamama. It means Mother Earth. And we will have a symposium actually next week. It will be my first one. The person who was sitting next to me said something beautiful. He said, Northern Europeans, when they started the spice trade in Java, they started in one ship, and there were 12 people in the ship, and 6 of them died, but they colonized Java. So he said, I believe 6 people made a huge difference, and I believe 1 person can make a big difference. So.
My wife just reminded me about the vision that I've had for a long time. The vision is the vision that Neil Armstrong, when he stepped down on the planet, on the moon, when he said, that's one step for man, a giant leap for mankind. And he saw a beautiful blue-white planet where you could not tell the continents. There were no borders, there were no boundaries. There were no flags of nations or symbols of religions. And that's Joseph Campbell, in his book, The Myth. And he said, that's our home that we should celebrate. That's our family that we all belong to. And that's the future, because that's where we are in this universe. And he launched the concept of perennial universalism.
Another.
My partner Emily and I were talking about, and I love the power of thinking about this cloth symbolizing acting locally. What can you do right now? And my partner is the program director in a residential home for people living long-term with AIDS, with the AIDS virus. And she has committed to instituting a recycling policy there so that what they're doing is leaving a legacy behind. They're looking forward beyond all of our inevitable deaths, but they're faced with it much more immediately than we are. So it's a cool legacy to think of recycling at that level.
My partner has the opportunity in the next few days to talk to groups of people who have been affected by violence, and particularly domestic violence. And she's going to tell them about how important it is that we all act nonviolently toward one another. That even their actions, even though they've been victims of violence, their actions toward each other in a compassionate and nonviolent way will help to reduce the amount of violence that we all suffer from in the world.
My new friend Larry here, I think, has a great idea. It sounds really simple and straightforward. And Larry was telling me, as best I can remember, of doing something very tangible for the homeless right here, which is, you know, when you're on the subway and somebody asks you for money and maybe you have some change or you're maybe not quite sure where they're coming from, what they're going to do with it. So you had this idea that you'd have a piece of paper that would have resources in that area or some area that includes where you're at, that would have the listings for all the shelters and various places that you could go if you're homeless to spend the night or just get some more assistance, so that whatever's happening to you in your heart as an emotional response, you can offer something. You don't have to think about it. And then he had this other idea that connects to it, which goes from local to global, which is to eventually set this up as a website, so you could just type in your zip code and you would be able to get this information printed out, share it, and network. And I just think it's a fabulous idea, and I hope he does it.
My partner has taken the John Francis Walk, and she has sold her car, her house. She's committed herself to World Team, which she's running on a website. She is working with people internationally on problems large and small in teams, and she visualizes the day where there is a YouTube of solving issues in brotherhood, sisterhood around the world, and comparing how to do that. She's on the walk.
I learned about a collective act for New York City. So we can talk about light bulbs and plastic bags, and we can also talk about the rainforest. New York City is the largest single end user of tropical hardwoods. Don't believe that the mayor has decided we're not using them. We're not using them for park benches anymore, but we're still using them in our boardwalks, and we're going to be building 4 marine waste transfer stations, all using tropical rainforest wood. It's a collective act we can all do together as New Yorkers. It's an act that we could be united by. So how do we do that? I think what we do is we get in touch with our elected officials, city council members, and start talking to them and asking them to stand up on this issue and to find solutions. And there are solutions. We can use recycled plastic lumber, not composite. And we can also start to sustainably grow local hardwoods. So I offer that as a collective act for us and to release us from our contribution as a city in that way. Thank you.